Hip Hop Scholar podcast. I'm your host, Melanie, the Hip Hop Scholar. So excited for today's podcast where we have another very special guest, where we have Jasmine Bocard. Jasmine Bocard, you want to wave to our hip hop family? There you go. Yes, that beaming smile. So to introduce Jasmine, she is a Houston born and raised resident in the rhythm of the 90s and early 2000s. Jasmine Bocard first found her voice behind a keyboard at church. She played alongside her brother, who also played the drums in church. With that early foundation in music, she evolved it into a lifelong passion, one that now runs parallel with her work as a dedicated school counselor and educator. She is a graduate of Lamar University with a BS in criminal justice and a MED in counseling and human development. Got those degrees. We also have Jasmine bringing a holistic, culturally aware approach to supporting her students. With over 300 live shows experienced, y'all. She's attended over 300 concerts in her lifetime so far. Still a long time to go. Primarily in the hip hop genre, but also in different genres as well. And as we talk to Jasmine, you'll see how versatile she really is. She has seen firsthand how music, especially hip hop, shapes identity, connection, as well as emotional growth. Today, they often weave hip hop, jazz, and combinations of genre music into her counseling practice, using lyrics, rhythm, and storytelling as powerful tools for healing, understanding, and building trust with the youth. So, again, we welcome the one and only Jasmine Bocard. Let's get some cheering going in.
Wow, thank
All
you for
right.
that warm welcome. Thank you.
Oh, you are very welcome, my dear. So we welcome you to the Hip Hop Scholar podcast. How are you doing today?
I am well. I am so excited to be a guest on the Hip Hop Scholar. So I'm excited to talk about live music, concerts, the connection between those things and counseling, because these are all of the things that I love. So I'm excited to share it with you on your podcast today.
Oh, yes, ma'am. This podcast and any other time, you are more than welcome to the show because we're all fans when it comes to hip hop. You know, the fandom of being part of this culture of hip hop is more than just the music. It's about what it all encompasses, you know, when it comes to the fashion, when it comes to all of those different things. I noticed that, you know, you got a really fly blouse over there, my dear. Like, it's
So
really.
a lot of the way I dress is very 90s inspired. So you can kind of see a little colors. I love the color blocking. Just kind of reminds me so much of Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. You know how Jazz used to dress and the Fresh Prince Will Smith himself. So yes, I'm truly inspired by the 90s. So it's just something that just kind of give me my own style, because that's where I grew up. So I like to keep it relevant.
I know that's right, especially growing up in Houston, Texas, home of the Texans in the 90s and the early 2000s. So I want to start, as is going to be the form for this podcast. The very first question I must ask you is, when did you fall in love with hip hop? What was that for you that brought you into the world of hip hop?
I had to been really young, and I remember very vividly. I was riding down Fry Point with my mom, and I'm listening to 97.9 The Box. And on 97.9, they're playing this. This was back in, I want to say, 94, 95. They are playing Tupac. What's the song? Shake It, Kelly. Shake It, baby. That one. That's what's the song? I forgot the name of the song, but that was on the radio. I'm singing it, and my parents look back like, what is she singing, and why she comfortable singing that in the car with us? And then we
Is
had to
that
have
California Love? Is
the
that
California
song
Love come
California
on,
Love? Yeah.
and from there it was this is my style, because my parents, they were R&B, and my dad is very jazz and Sade heavy. And so I like the music, I like it, but then when the first time I really got into it and I was learning lyrics and really paying attention to the beats and nodding my head and really getting into it, that was the song. And that was
Two.
94, 90, by 90, I want to say that was 95.
Oh man, what a time to be alive. Did you also see the video that went along with it too, or was it just on 97.9 The Box?
So I saw the video a little later because it was real strict around where I grew up. But when I did see the video, I said, oh, that video matched. That was lit, that video.
Yeah.
So it all made sense. And I was like, yeah, at the time, I was real Tupac heavy. And then, right after, I want to say, right after I really started getting into it, we lost Tupac. And so it was kind of like, huh? But
Yeah.
then, you know, I had that moment is where I really started to know like this is the music that I like. This is what I'm gonna be connected to probably for the rest of my life.
That's right. That's right. That's a very good artist, like a very strong artist to make that impression. And in that history of Tupac, knowing him going from East Coast to West Coast, merging styles. He used to be a dancer back in the day with Digital Underground. He started off as a dancer with hip hop in the background with the Humpty Dance is your chance, do the hump. You heard that song before? That's,
Yes.
I'm much older than you, my dear. So, but he was a dancer in the back, and he, just that growth in hip hop. There's so many different dynamisms that we can say that hip hop brings, and Tupac really encompassed that. He was a poet. He was a dancer, the fashion, all those things, and being able to cross regions across the United States and touch so many around the world with the youth, with the teenagers, with the older people, with all generations. Tupac was just one of those that, it was just cut too short, right? Like you just said, as soon as you got into knowing who it was and getting into hip hop, about a year or two later is when he did meet his demise. So that's wonderful to hear, though. When it comes to when and where. And I love that part too. When we think about the discourse of hip hop and remembering where you were in the car, you were listening, you know, in H Town and hearing that music. There's something about that, that moment of, do you still do that today? Like, are you in your car listening to music, whether it's the 90s or even more contemporary?
Still today, when something sounds really, really good, I remember exactly where I am when I heard it. When something that's gonna move me, and I still listen to it, it is triple platinum in my car today. I know exactly where I was when I first heard it. Absolutely.
Yeah, that makes a big difference, right? And to set the mood where it may not just be in your car, it may not just be in your office or in your room or even in your office, but just being transported by the music. It's
Yeah.
such that's such a poignant thing you brought. So much. Thank you so much for that, Jasmine. And so the use of music, being both an educator and a counselor. Shout out to all the educators and counselors like Jasmine Bocard for all that you do. But something serious, for real. Enjoying your summer and preparing for the fall. Um, I want to also think about, as being an educator and a counselor for the students and for your faculty at your campus, what connections do you see between the music, even live music, whether it's the music that you play, even them being transported to where they hear the music, even hearing lyrics as they are in class or somewhat, especially with hip hop, but not just hip hop. But how do you see that connected to the students' well-being or personal growth? How does music do that for students? Their feelings towards themselves and towards learning.
It's a great question. And as an educator and a counselor, I see a very strong and meaningful connection between live music and student well-being. Music, particularly in a live setting, offers students a unique emotional outlet. And by that, the first time I seen live music really have an effect on students was I was in a high school in Cypher, and I was in a special education class where students, some of those students were nonverbal, and they had a guitarist
Hmm.
come in that classroom, and she did music therapy with those students. It was live. This was her playing the guitar. This was her singing, and I watched nonverbal students show emotions, and they showed emotions of joy. You can tell that they feel some type of freedom, and to me, I was like, "That's it. That is beautiful." And it just goes to show that it does not matter, age, it does not matter generation, it does not matter the way you learn. Music has such an incredible impact on people, and mostly positive. And so when I thought about that, when I witnessed that, I said, that's what I want to do. I said, at this time, I was just subbing and just kind of moving around and learning what I was going to do in education. But this is when I knew that I was going to be a counselor and that I was going to bring in music therapy. So when we talk about this emotional outlet, it's a sense of connection and an opportunity for self-expression that supports both mental
Hmm.
and emotional development. And so, first, live music creates a shared experience that fosters community. Again, let's go back to Sci These kids, they can't really talk. A lot of them are nonverbal, and then we have some that can talk, and they can tell you, "I like this." And at that moment, you don't even know who can do what because everybody is just enjoying themselves. They're enjoying this piece of therapy. And when students attend or participate in live performances, because I now work at a school where we have so many talented students, they sing. And shout out to our music teacher, Mr. Bolton, because he got those kids singing, reading music. He got those kids participating in live music. And so when you give them this opportunity in school concerts and band recitals and cultural celebrations, they feel this sense of belonging. And it gives them also the opportunity to showcase their talents. So, this collective energy reduces feelings of isolation because we don't really, in school settings, when it comes to counseling, we don't really promote isolation unless we absolutely have to. So it reduces the
Hmm.
feeling of isolation, which is especially important in a time when many students are navigating anxiety, depression, social stress, etc., etc. And so, secondly, music stimulates multiple areas of the brain, right? The parts that regulate emotions, the part that reduces stress. So, in the counseling setting, I've seen how attending and engaging in live music can elevate the mood, improve focus, and even help students process trauma and challenging emotions. And in that, a lot of times I get called for students just having a hard day. The first thing I do before we start our breathing techniques, we're gonna put on some music. And a lot of times it's hip hop. Why is it hip hop? Because this is what kids are connected to right now. This is what kids are listening to right now. And so when you introduce that to them and you put the instrumental on, sometimes you don't even need the words, you don't even need the lyrics. You put the instrumental on and you give those kids some time to calm down. And then we move into those breathing techniques, and then we go into the CBT. Is my method of how I practice because I know this is what's been working for kids for so long, and this was working for me as an adult. Music is calming to us. So music can serve as a grounding tool, offering emotional regulation without needing words, which is particularly helpful for students who struggle to articulate how they feel, which I work with kids right now from pre-K to fifth grade. And a lot of times these kids don't know how to say how they feel, or they don't know how to articulate all of the emotions that they're feeling in the moment. And so it's so many different connections. I just think that live music and music in general, especially hip hop, often reflects our culture, identity, and history. And only a culturally competent counselor can make this connection happen like that. So I'm not to my own horn, but I just feel like being that young and vibrant and knowing what the kids like and being able to meet them where they are just puts me at this like huge advantage.
Yeah, to make that
So
impact,
yeah.
culturally competent counselor. especially in the day and age that we are in now. Salute to you. Toot your horn. I will toot that horn, the whole band for you, because what you said is
Thank
so
you.
insightful. It's so insightful and so important when we think about that, the needs of the students. I want to share, I've been in education and I've been an educator over about 24 years now.
Mhm.
And I distinctly remember, like, in the onset, I had this after school program called Freestyle Friday, where I was a literacy teacher and I was teaching students how to, freestyle. They would rap their lyrics, they would write them down, they would rap them, but it was also that, reading and writing connection, but it was using hip hop, it was using rap. And I will never forget, because this was in the 90s, late 1900s, I'll say, because, very, I'm your elder, my dear. But I distinctly remember this student. He wrote about, the lyric was, I can smell his food fine, I done wiped the tears away. And he had misspelled the word tears. The word tears, he spelled it as Tils, but the word was tears. And I was able in that moment to say, you know what, this is spelled Tears. So I asked him about the lyric, what does this lyric mean? And his brother had recently died by gun violence in the neighborhood in which he was in. And in that time, in essence, it was a lot of violence. And his oldest brother, used to cook for them. And that's why he said I could smell his food fine, because he could smell the food that his brother would cook, but he done wiped the tears away because his brother's gone and there's nothing he can do about it. And this is like elementary age students, and just the impact of being able to still, hit the objectives, but also meet them where they are through the use of hip hop. It's a beautiful thing. Right. And just like you said, too, with the use of a guitar, whether they're playing, acoustic, jazz, any type of genre that they're playing with nonverbal. I am the mother of a child that with autism and is nonverbal, and music is something that definitely brings him alive as well. That Kendrick Lamar halftime show, that Super Bowl, when I tell you he knows that verbatim, he even knows the part with Samuel L. Jackson. It's your uncle Sam, and this is, and he gives the bravado that Samuel L. Jackson brings, and singing the Kendrick Lamar lyrics, peekaboo, and all those different things, and to be able to hear his voice, right? It's a choice when it comes to that nonverbal, but being able to access it is those bits of nuances that us as parents, but also as educators. I think even as an educator and a counselor, finding those ways and being active and having your youth and leveraging that to make certain that you make that impact. And I love to hear when you have educators and all type of faculty and staff that's not just there for the check. You're there to truly make a difference. And Jasmine, we honor you on this platform for making that difference, and sharing with us that insight here as well. So thank you for that. If no one else, if you don't get your flowers, yeah, thank you. You tell us you're welcome. Doggone it.
Thank you so much. I mean, everything you said, like their music has such a strong impact. Like it does not matter how you learn, it does not matter like who you are. You get a feeling, right? You get that
Yeah.
those kids get those feelings and they just let it show. And that's one thing I love about just incorporating music in anything, in education and shout out to Gracie's Corner too, because that girl got these
Always.
kids learning these alphabet sounds and what is she using these hip hop beats because that's what these kids connect to. It's just that simple. You gotta meet the kids where they are. You gotta do what the kids are gonna like and what they're gonna listen to. That's for sure.
I know that's right. Gracie's Corner, it makes such a cultural impact with
Yes.
the natural hair, the rhythm, the dancing, and being able to showcase STEM and self awareness along with the math and English and everything. Shout out to Gracie's Corner for
All
those
that.
things of
Yes.
incorporating hip hop so much in thickness in that with their curriculum, having artists like Paul Wall, Snoop Dogg, so many different artists there, and the rhythms and the beats, and like you said, that's another way of using and leveraging the impact that hip hop brings to the youth and making that positive impact. Oh yeah. I mean, even with that, to even stay on that track, shows like Sesame Street, Sesame Street. What pops in my mind is that they have artists like SZA. They've had her on there. They'll have so many different artists from so many different genres. Not just for the celebrityism, like, oh, we have a celebrity on Sesame Street, but no, this is real music. This is what, music is what pushes the culture. It's what pushes the generation, the time. That's how we create our days and our moments, is by listening to music. So when you're able to have the artists, and the artists are able to come out of just being a musician and showing that human side of it, especially for the kids, like how impactful are these types of programs like Gracie's Corner and Sesame Street, especially from your experience. How do these types of shows that bring in the hip hop, how do they impact children, and families too?
I just think that the way that Gracie's Corner and all of the other children's shows approach, even Jack Hartman, he'll throw in some hip hop
Yeah.
now and then. But the way they have such an impact is first, they just make it easy for educators and parents to give their kids the content in a way
Mm-hmm.
that is simple for them, it's simple for the kids. The kids remember it because, of course, we got these hip hop beats. And when you learning something on a beat, on the cadence, that kind of stick with you. I taught pre-K for some time, and one thing about it, if you want them kids to learn something, you just need to put it in the song, and they gonna know it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one thing about why I think music is so important in classrooms. And I don't want to put no districts on the spot, but when you take that music out the classroom, if you know, you know, you take that music out of the classroom, you're taking away the culture, you're taking away some of what makes learning fun, that entertainment piece. We got to be real about when it comes to working with students, right? Kids like to be entertained. And when you get to entertaining them with the content, you entertaining them with what they learning, they want to learn. They want to be a part of it. They want to sing. They want to dance. Um, and again, you suck the fun out of it, and things start happening to where the kids just kind of draw back and they don't feel like they're a part of it anymore. You want your kids to feel a part of it. Um, so that's just one of the ways that you can definitely see like their music connection and them learning and education. Like it's such a big deal. Like hip hop is such a big deal because it does not matter, just like I said with Jack Hartman, it does not matter what race the person is on the screen. It does not matter the age. Great, we know Gracie's Corner, that's a baby when she first started coming out with that. None of that stuff matters. And I think because we teach kids of all cultures and all ages, and we have to reach out to so many different demographics, they need to see, you know, music from all of these different demographics. And also you need to see that they know how to incorporate hip hop and put hip hop into a learning in a platform like that. So that, I mean, it's so broad. It's so wide ranging how much hip hop is important in our education, in our culture, in our learning aspects, in our schools, in our districts. Okay? Like
Yeah,
if you know, you know.
yeah, I was gonna say, if you know, you know. And when we think about hip hop, it's not even just music. The fashion of it, the art of it. Bringing in all those different aspects. When you were talking, music of learning. I remember seeing on social media. This was a nurse, this lady in nursing school, where she put nursing school learning in a New Orleans bounce cadence. And I thought that was the most brilliant thing. Like, man, you know what? I'm going to go to nursing school, because the way she had that curriculum about anatomy, about the body, and she put it on a New Orleans bounce beat. When I tell you, that made a huge difference to somebody like me, where STEM, I love STEM, I respect STEM, but I was never in the science math section. I was always all things language and literacy. But to see that use for it, not only for the youth, but also for everyone that wants to learn, and using that to make it, approachable. Using music is so approachable, where everyone can just, it's like you said earlier, that shared experience, being able to have that shared experience through that beat, through that melody, and even having people, young people and elders alike, to find their confidence when it comes to music. So that, honoring that as an educator, and all the districts, I hope that they're listening in. That if you're an educator, if you're an administrator in education, think about that piece. We need music. I am a staunch advocate when it comes to the arts and when it comes to the music, no matter if it is using strings, using piano, using percussions, being able to still have music in some form of fashion makes the difference and will lessen the suspension rate. It will heighten the learning content, and having the remembrance of that learning. Because like you said, you teach the pre-K babies, you teach them something in a song, they'll never forget it. And if they could leverage that, never will forget that. So it's important. It's more than important. And I appreciate that you sharing that as an educator and a counselor. I also want to talk to you about as the independent, right? So outside of being an educator and a counselor, you have attended over 300 live music experiences. So I want to hear about that too, right? Because I know as an educator, like, you want to give, but I also want to honor you as your identity, and being outside of that. Like, how does your attending these concerts, the why of it, how does that help you to be more self-aware of yourself, so that you can go in and support and help others?
So for me, it's concerts bring me this peace, right? I know it's a lot of people, it's a lot of noise, but it just takes me to another place. And in that place, I feel the most free. I feel like I can sing as loud as I want to. Nobody is judging me. Nobody is making me feel small, any of those things. I'm in my own world. And sometimes I go to concerts by myself. I spend so much money on concerts. I don't expect anybody to be tagging along with me at every single concert that I attend. But I go to so many concerts because it's just a freeing space for me. And sometimes I go to these concerts and I meet people, and I think I'm needing to charge my computer. Need to grab my charger. But sometimes I go to these concerts and I meet people and they just like me. I go to all concerts. I was just at such and such last week, and I'm like, oh, I was there too. So you finding like-minded people around you. In the real world, most people go to concerts maybe once or twice a year. In my world, I'm at a concert almost every week. And I'm trying to go back on this, but this is what it does for me. The same way music brings uh this outlet and this emotional regularity for kiddos, this kind of the same for me. I feel like music is a healing tool, and it has been a way for me to just kind of step away from the real world because I work so hard, right? We all do. We work very hard. We're parents. We are career women. We are business owners. We working on this project, and we're trying to take care of ourselves, take care of the kids. We do so much. And so I think the concerts for me is that one thing that's for me. And I go to the
Mhm.
concerts not necessarily because I'm a fan of the artist, which most of the artists I am a fan. I am extremely respectful of the work, but it's because I'm there to appreciate music. I'm a music appreciation person. I'm looking at the band, I'm looking at the dancers. This is a whole production, right? And I'm looking at
Right.
all of the people it take behind the stage to make this happen. And this is just so extraordinary to me. Like, y'all have to work all of y'all have to work together, come together to make this show happen. This show is beautiful, and you got an artist on stage entertaining thousands of people with confidence, with pride, and everybody is singing their song. It's beautiful. And so for me, concerts are just that escape outlet. It's a sing along. It's a chance to be in the room with a person who has made it, that's successful. And in that moment, I'm able to manifest that success for myself. I'm able to feel the same confidence, the same awareness as that artist. I'm listening and watching this artist's breath control, stage presence, what they're wearing, how they change clothes, how they take a break in between songs. I'm watching so much. And when I tell you it's something I can't get enough of, so I'm just always there. I'm just always there. And when we get on the topic of Beyonce, I'm gonna tell you what I saw. It was good. It was great because all of these things that I just talked about, she executed so well. And she does it like on a scale, like if you ever go to Beyonce's concert, then you go to somebody else's concert after that, you see it's on such a large scale, like production wise. It's like she has no budget. And so I do want to stick to the topic of hip hop though, because I went to see Missy Elliott, and Missy Elliott puts on a production of that caliber. And when I tell you, oh, go ahead.
I want you to continue. You can continue with when it comes to Missy, when it comes to Beyonce, when it comes to all different facets that Beyonce is. She is a product of Houston, and Houston is a pillar of hip hop. So with no apologies, I mean, feel free to talk about Beyonce, to talk about any artist for that matter, because hip hop is has so many roots to storytelling. When it comes to that stage presence, when it comes to being able to have versatile audiences from all over the world, like you can be a Buddhist that is from India and have born and raised in that Indian culture, but you can say all the lyrics to California Love of Tupac. Beyonce, and then you were talking about your experience seeing Missy perform. Was this back in the 90s? Or are you talking about Missy from these days? Because that's,
This was recent. Missy
oh
just had a
my goodness.
show. She just had a show, and it was Sierra was there, Busta Rhymes was there, Timberland was there. They were all here at the Toyota Center. I want to say about 6 months ago.
Mhm.
And I'm glad you mentioned the 90s because back then I couldn't go to these concerts in shows because, like I said, I come from a strict household, so there was no concerts. That's why as soon as I was old enough to make the decision on my own, I went to all the concerts I wanted to go to. Here we are, 300 plus concerts later, because this is what I like. And I knew that back then. They knew that back then because I played instruments. I played the piano for my church for 5 years. So they know how much music meant to me. Yeah, we did the praise and worship service every Sunday for 5 years, Greater Victory Temple of the Apostolic Faith. So they know how much music meant to me. I took formal music lessons as a 5, 6 year old. But what I did as a musician in the church was purely from the Holy Spirit because I was not formally trained. I did not read music. I played by ear. But going back to, I know I'm all over the place, but going back to, I'm finally able to
You
go
are
to all the
perfectly
concerts.
fine. Mhm.
I would have never been able to see Missy in the 90s, is what I'm getting at. I would have never had
Mhm.
that opportunity. I was born in 90. So around what, 94, 95. Missy is out, Aaliyah is out, Genuine, all of them is out. Timberland, he real big in the music industry, right? And I'm a kid, so
Mhm.
they can tour all they want to. They ain't nobody gonna take me, you know. So I find out Missy is coming to Houston. I'm there because I love Missy. So I'm there, like I'm inspired by Missy, like her whole aura, like everything about Missy back in the day, all the way up until now. I see her in concert She puts on the show. Mind you, I've seen Beyonce about 3 times. And I'm always thinking in the back of my mind, nobody puts on the show like Beyonce. I see me Missy, I see Missy live, and when I tell you their production, it felt like you was inside a movie. It felt like you was inside of whatever set she had. It felt like you were in it. I was completely captivated, and it's only about 4 or 5 concerts that put me in that state. Missy is up there. She puts on the show. The stage design, the lighting, everything about what she put together at that concert. I don't know if she was on tour. She just came to Houston. I think she was on tour. But all I
Mhm.
know is she put on the show that I said, had I done seen this in the 90s, I don't even know. I know I sat in my chair after the concert and I had to process what I had just seen because she is that incredible as an artist. She is that incredible.
And the, the longevity of Missy. So, I mean, I applaud everything about Missy Elliott, and I love that you being a young person that experienced her at such a very young age, being determined to see her. Because when I was born, well before you, but to see Missy Elliott, her music videos and her style, and it was not just about you know, um, around that time, it was a lot of masculinity in hip hop and rap, but Missy Elliott was able to balance the two, masculinity and femininity. She had the dancing, she had the artwork. She was a very unique and different. And that's what number one thing I love about Missy is how she pushed the envelope to be as different as possible from any and everything that you could ever see. And it just makes me so proud, like, an auntie of Missy, to hear you talk about my niece and how great she is, because indeed, to be able to have that experience and, like you said, to sit down and process, it's like going to a museum and experiencing art, going to the symphony and listening to that music, because of all of that experience. And when you said that you spend a lot of money, I want you to reframe that and say you invest. It sounds more of an investment,
yes,
right? Because you're not just like you said, you're not just going to concert for concert's sake. Because a lot of times, and I've heard this from a lot of people, is that sometimes people have their phones with them, they're getting the pictures to post, and then that is the focal point of them going to concerts. What is a checklist or some attributes that a real concert goer should have when they go to a concert to get the full-on experience? List of the tangibles and of the abstract notions. What
yeah,
is this
I
checklist?
got you. I got you.
Hmm.
You definitely gonna have your sneakers, your clear bag, and then I always recommend dressing for the theme. Again, that sense of community. Dress for the theme. So I'll give you an example. Tyler the Creator's Chromocopia. The whole thing was green, it was pink, it was blacks, whites, and it was the whole preppy schoolgirl or schoolboy outfits. And
Hmm.
when I tell you, when you dress for the theme, because we're gonna get to Beyonce in a second, but when you dress for the theme, you feel like you're a part of something bigger than yourself. Right? You feel good. You feel like, oh, we fit to sing together tonight. So definitely dressing for the theme. Um, and then I'ma just say, before you even go, hydrate, 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 because you're gonna sing, you're gonna have a good time. And what you don't want to do is the next day you feel it all. So as somebody that's
Right.
been to concert after concert after concert, I'm gonna tell you, you the hydration is key. Just make sure you're good, and you don't even know what you're gonna get into when you get there. Cause sometimes you're in the clubhouse and all of the drinks and the food is free and all of those things like that. So that's that checklist. Now let's go
Hmm.
to the checklist, right? Always go with the open heart, open mind, because sometimes you're gonna get surprised and sometimes you just gonna like things are gonna happen at these concerts. They're gonna be like the memory. Like they're gonna build you building this
Mm.
memory. You're gonna be like, oh, I remember seeing this artist and I remember that. And this artist did this and it was unbelievable. So I'm gonna give you an example. Um Kanye West. I know he's not everybody's favorite, but he had a tour. Um, what was the name of the tour? 2016. He went on tour. He had a floating stage.
Mm.
Before before social media, TikTok just started putting all of the concerts online, you didn't know what you was gonna see before the show got to you. And so people was putting it online, but it wasn't as big as it is now. Like on TikTok, uh you see the whole Renaissance, you see the whole Cowboy Carter before you even get there. So I wasn't expecting this.
Right.
I'm expecting him to be, I knew it was a middle stage. That's what I was expecting. Had no idea it was gonna be a floating stage. So then I
Mm.
get there, it's a floating stage because I'm there with an open heart. And I'm like, I'm open minded. This is like surprise, like, and then he goes on to have an incredible show, but then he then went on to cancel the rest of the tour. So, but that's the first thing on the checklist. Just open mind, open heart. Second thing I would say, just go and on the checklist, I'm gonna have to say just go, like, just be prepared to sing. I don't recommend people going to concerts where they don't know the artist lyrics, where they don't really connect with that artist on some type of level, just because everybody in that arena is gonna be singing and you're gonna be sitting. They're
Right.
gonna be standing, they're gonna be singing, and you're gonna be just kind of, okay, what's going on? Did I miss the memo? Like, if all you know is the old songs of that artist, I would just recommend, like, be listening to that artist's last album on back. Like, you need to know everything because they come in with the new stuff, they come in with the old stuff, the throwbacks, and you just don't want to feel left out, right? And then I'm gonna say, like, another part of this checklist, I would say just I would say go with the flow. I would say go with the flow. And the reason why I'm saying go with the flow is sometimes like people go with these expectations. I'm not gonna call the artist out on this one, but people go with these expectations and then they feel like, oh, that concert wasn't what I thought it was gonna be. But that artist's job is to sing or rap or whatever they up there doing, and it's supposed to be like a music appreciation moment because you're hearing something that you hear on the radio or on your phone, tablet, whatever you listen to, and you're hearing it live. And so even though music is
Right.
not a tangible thing, it's not something that you can necessarily touch outside of instruments. It takes all of these working parts to even put this production on. And so if you're going with the flow, let that artist sing to you, let that artist rap to you, let that artist like just kind of like just let it just flow with it, just go with it, just enjoy it. And not having every concert I've been to, I didn't know all of the words to all of the songs, but the songs I didn't know the words to, it was just time I just went with the flow and I just allowed myself to enjoy the music. And I'm like, I didn't know they sung that song, but I'm gonna go back and listen to that song. But I heard it live first.
Mhm.
So really I wouldn't just say like, oh, you have to go down a list of things to do. It's all about enjoying yourself and enjoying that time away from the world because that's what it feels like. It feels like a time away from the world. Um, I've seen people say, well, concerts are worshiping this person. It's not, we are not idolizing the artist. It is music appreciation. Appreciation for something and idolizing something is two different things. And as long as you know the difference, you can go to a concert, enjoy yourself, you can go to a concert and have a great time and still believe in whatever you believe in. And it because
I
every oh, the
appreciate.
beehive is cold. The beehive is cold. No, it's not. No, it's not. We appreciate. the artist that Beyonce is. And that's why I think people show up the way they show up for her. So when you're ready to get into that combo, let's do it. Let's do it.
I I want to go back and unpack everything that you just said, and we're going to honor Miss Knowles Carter. We're definitely going to talk about her. But when you were talking, I mean, when you were sharing about the experience of going to a concert and making certain that before you go become familiar with what you're listening to so that you're not left out of the experience, it made me put back on the lens and the hat as an educator, where we want for students, whenever you go into a classroom, a lecture, maybe you should take the time to review the notes, review the text, review the attributes of the lesson before going in so that you can contribute and be a part of the lesson, right? I mean, it was so insightful when you said that, like, of course, anybody that can go to a concert can absolutely get something out of a classroom lecture, especially if they take that time and honor their time, where it's not just about the instructor, right? It's, you may go in, oh, this instructor is great, or this teacher is wonderful, or maybe not, but that experience of gaining some knowledge while there, and then to make a point of what you're saying that, oh, you're going to idolize someone because it's a group of people going to listen to someone. Well, there's training in all type of jobs. There are webinars and all type of jobs that are led by someone, but you're not idolizing them. You're there for a specific purpose. There is a specific reason why you are there, and you said it just perfectly, where there is a thing called idolization and there is a thing called learning and gaining an experience, which is what artists like Beyonce, like Missy, like Kanye, we honor all artists as they are and as the humans that they are as well. Like you say, when they give that experience, we cannot expect perfection as we would see or hear on a streaming service or a CD or a cassette or even an 8 track. You can't expect that same, richness of it. It reminds me too of Frankie Beverly and Maze, where in concert, they don't sound the same as they do on their tracks, but nevertheless, you're still going to have a beautiful experience because of who they are, what they bring, and that you are being absorbed along with everyone else that is there. It is such, again, that shared experience of what it means to be in the music, right? And when we look in the genre of hip hop, I still feel like Beyonce and really all artists contribute to hip hop. And I know that Beyonce is influenced by hip hop, by that H Town culture, which is, UGK, all of those rappers that started hip hop, especially in the South and us in the Gulf Coast. She is a part of that. So, what is the difference? Now, you said as part of the checklist that you got to have walking shoes for other artists, but Beyonce is beyond that. Like, Beyonce, going to a Beyonce concert is a different checklist. So, take that time to talk about that for us.
Absolutely. And so Beyonce has created like this trilogy, and I'm saying trilogy because Act One, Act Two, and we're looking forward to Act Three. She's created this
Okay.
trilogy that not only is a music appreciation, but it's a fashion appreciation, and she's just kind of spotlighting a whole lot of different genres and a whole lot of different, uh, like different moving pieces like from the visuals and all of these different things she's put incorporating together to create a full out experience. So you don't just go to a concert, you are receiving an experience. And so in that you go and this is where you show out. Okay? This is like the Met Gala of the concerts. You don't just go to Beyonce concert in sneakers and in sweatpants. While that is okay if you do, you are robbing yourself of the experience if you're not putting on something that would embody the spirit of Beyonce, you know? So right now Beyonce is doing Cowboy Carter, and while for us in Houston, Texas, having a, a set of cowboy boots, that's normal for us. But this lady has the entire world. She's on the world tour. She has the entire world dressed like us because she's from
Mhm.
here, and She's got everybody in the cowboy boots while theirs might be Amazon. It's okay. It's because they're wanting to embody the spirit of the artist in that point in time. Because we know for Renaissance, it was we put on our silver get up, our sparkly pinks, our sparkly reds, and you got to feel like you're Beyonce. You get to feel like you are a part of it. And that's a whole nother part of the experience. Okay, so Cowboy Carter, everybody had cowboy hats, everybody had on boots. And then we know Beyonce on this tour has been wearing the chaps. She's been rocking chaps in every
Mm-hmm.
single designer, in the Gucci, in the Prada, in the Loewe, whatever she wearing. She's basically showing you show up for yourself. You showing up for Beyonce, but you show up for yourself, right? And then let me tell you, I put up a thread. I'm gonna read it for you verbatim. I put up a thread because you know they got this whole man versus woman thing going on. I say, look, Cowboy Carter or any Beyonce tour is a primary example of how women don't dress up for the male gaze. Unless we tell you we dressing up for you, it is not about you. We dressing up for Beyonce. We dressing up for ourselves, and we are there to be a part of the experience. And when I tell you this time around, I went to Renaissance. Renaissance was incredible, incredible. I went to Cowboy Carter, incredible. And when I tell you these people know the music, they know the choreography, they dress the part, they in the spirit. And I'm gonna be very honest with you because this was one of those concerts where I had to sit in the 300s. It don't matter where
Mm-hmm.
you sit in that concert. It don't matter where you sit when you are seeing Beyonce. You feel like you are right there with that lady. You feel
Mm-hmm.
like you are right there with that lady. And so you don't want her to see you not dressed the part. You know what I'm saying? So it's
Right.
just the respect and appreciation for what the artist has done. For all of us who've seen the Renaissance movie, we know that Beyonce worked on that tour 4 years before she went live. And we can only imagine if it took her 4 years for Renaissance, it probably took her probably another 3 years while she was working in Renaissance to work on Cowboy Carter. And before she went live, she probably gave Cowboy Carter 3 or 4 years of her life. And so when the
True.
artist puts that much work and artistry into what they doing, and they take the time out to make the visuals entertaining to you. They take the time out. And by the way, Beyonce's visuals, she's wearing something different in every one. She's doing something different
Mm-hmm.
in every one. She's got all of these different, like she got her as a 10 feet tall figure. She's got all of these different aspects of her visuals alone. So when she take the time to do that, when she takes time to serve you Sir Davis before you even go on a concert, you get free samples of Sir Davis, you get 20% off of Sacred, all of these different things. She's giving you so much. The least you can do is dress the part, go there, sing the songs, appreciate what she put out for the world because she do it for us. She do this for
Mm-hmm.
her fans. She do this for the people who appreciate her music, and that's one thing is so respectable. It's like you gotta be a part of it. You gotta be a part of the experience. Um, that checklist, you need to be present. You need to be set. You know what that means? You need to be in your seat, and you need to.
That's right.
I feel like with Cowboy Carter and Renaissance, and I'm just so excited to see what Act 3 is. But I feel like with Cowboy Carter and Renaissance, the Beyonce, the artist that we seeing right now, not to just put her on a pedestal, but we seeing something that our generation probably won't see for years to come. We seeing something like I didn't get a chance to see Michael Jackson in person. Um, Unfortunately, like around the time when he passed, I think I want to say I was a teenager, 2005. I was a teenager, so I didn't get a chance to see Michael Jackson live. But what we're seeing right now and Beyonce is probably the world's biggest and largest entertainer that we're seeing a generation, a lifetime of commitment from this artist that you just really don't see with other artists too much. Other artists put on
Mm,
very good shows, very immersive experiences. I will say Travis Scott, I went to Astroworld before I didn't go to the festival. I went to the actual concert, and that was a very immersive experience. And when I tell you,
mhm,
we don't really see what we seeing with Beyonce and that the Travis Scott, those immersive experiences. We don't see that with a lot of artists today. A lot of artists is getting on stage and they doing their best, and their best is when Beyonce first started. I hate to say it like that, but it's like they're trying to get to that level, and some of them just get on stage, but this lady is a part of every part of her show, from wardrobe to the visuals to the stage design. I don't know if you know, but her stage design looked like a guitar. I'm like, who thinks
mm.
all of this? The lighting, the pyro, who thinks of all of this? Beyonce like thinks of every aspect of the show. And it would not surprise me if when Beyonce touched down in the city, she go all the way up to the 300s to watch that show to see what it looked like from those fans up there. You can't tell me she don't. Because
I think
how,
Jay. Yo, please,
like,
yeah.
yeah, how does a person sit way at the top of the stadium, two hands to heaven, we call it right now, we call it two hands to heaven section, and still feel like they're a part of the show? She
Yeah.
put projector screens on both sides for the people who can't even see the stage. It's people that's willing to buy a ticket that can't see the stage to expect to be in the same room with Beyonce. And what they tell you. So
I
I
was
just
gonna
got
say,
go ahead. Go
no,
ahead.
no, no. Finish, please. Finish, please, please.
I just gotta say, like, the level of, like I say, immersive experience that Houston, Travis Scott, Beyonce, Missy Elliott, these people are putting on shows that you have to, like, days later, you feeling like, I gotta go back. Yeah, I need to go to Vegas to see this again. I need to do, and to to be able to say Beyonce is from Houston, and Travis Scott being from Missouri City, being from Houston. It's like these are two of the biggest artists on the earth we seeing right now. Like even if you're not a fan of Travis Scott, you can't say that man don't get a crowd of 80,000 people rocking all over the
Right.
world. And so it's truly respectable. And when I go to concerts, this is my version of I'm paying my respect to this artist. Take my money. I don't care. Take my investment, like you said. Take it because this can't be cheap. It's not cheap. It's not a cheap experience. It's not something that can be recreated. You never gonna get that moment back. Pay for it. I say the same thing about traveling.
Yeah.
So it's truly a beautiful thing to be able to witness what we're seeing in these artists today, and in hip hop, in her doing uh country, as she say it's country, but it's still giving us. And so that's one of those things that I respect about Beyonce so much, because she really can do it all. She really
Yeah.
does it all. It's not oh, I'm gonna hop on stage with some jeans on. I'm not gonna call out the artist, but I'm not hopping on stage with a 5-person band. She has a full band.
Yeah.
She has a full band, and she's so intentional when she has these bands. Because I want to say it was Formation World Tour. She had all women, all female band, all women band. She's so intentional about it, and so that's just my take on it. You dress up. You when she if it's boots and cowboys hats, You put it on. Act 3, we don't know if she gonna take us back to the rock star age. We don't know. But if she say put on Gothic, you put it on. dress dress the part, enjoy yourself, because we're not gonna get this. Cowboy Carter 2 is never coming back.
Right. Right.
So I ain't mean to go,
No
rambling, but
apologies at all. No, ma'am.
it's an incredible experience. And I would say anybody who's really into music, hip hop, whether it be R&B, jazz, whatever you are into, you need to you need to see Beyonce at least once. Her voice live, she sounds like butter.
Mm.
She has a beautiful voice, and I think when people experience it live, they're like, "Oh, okay, I kind of understand why she got everybody dressing up. I understand why she got everybody showing up to the concert at 7 o'clock in the morning. It's understandable when you
Hmm.
get to experience it." And I'm gonna quit
And
rambling.
you're not rambling. I took all of that in. Thank you for giving me that experience and sharing your perspective there, because to see someone, and I was going to say that Jaden Smith song, I'm just an icon living. And that's what
Yeah.
she is. She is an icon that you get to say people like Michael Jackson. She's reminiscent to that and having so much pride when you said that she has a limitless budget. This is a person who's not doing the concerts for the money. She's really doing the concerts for the love of people and wanted to make that impact and using that money and using her talents to be able to be so versatile in all genres across the world, in different facets, being able to showcase that, it gives everyone else permission to be able to venture out that as well. And I really appreciate every single thing that you've said. And not even, for I want us to be able to talk about this again, because I also want to talk about the aspects of bringing her family into that, not only having her mother as a manager and part of her team, but also having her children a part of the experience, and in that aspect also bringing in that education lens again about how important is it for the youth to see that you can be unabashedly who you are, that identity of who Beyonce grew up from and who she is today, taking years to work on a project. That's something that definitely for my students now and in the past and in the future, it takes time. It takes time to create something that you're proud of, and there shouldn't be a rush. It's quality, and being qualitative in that thought process and being able to practice and learn, and making that others feel that experience as well.
Hey.
I want to continue the conversation, but I also want to honor your time. And I think what you said definitely will segue into this last question that I have for you, because again, you are an educator, you are a counselor, you are a mother, you are a member of our global society, but yet you this experience of going to concerts, and you're sharing the tips and the checklist so that others can gain this experience. I want for you to answer this question, because I think this would benefit our audience, as well as benefit me, because I really want to hear your perspective in this question. From your perspective, Jasmine, what role can music play in mental health and social emotional learning? Like, so the role of music, and and everything you said when you talked about music, and you were not rambling, you were so happy and joyous and optimistic in everything, every single nuance, to the seating, to the standing in line, to seeing the screens. You are so happy in saying that. So as a learning piece for our audience, what role can music play in mental health and social emotional learning?
One of my favorite pieces of being a school counselor, especially with this young age group that I work with, is that we do a lot of career exploration, and it kind of falls under the category of social emotional learning. And one thing I always talk to kids about is start now thinking about what it is you want to do, and what it is that excites you, what are the things that you are willing to explore early on, because once when you start early, you're an expert by the time you're in your early 20s. And so when I think about the whole concert experience and what how it connects to um social emotional learning and career exploration, we got to think about like all of these parts that are put together to make up these shows, right? We have these showrunners, we have these producers, we have these people who put the stage together, we have these people who actually book the stadiums, book the tours, they do all of the management. These are all careers. These kids, they don't really think past doctor, lawyer, basketball, football, the artist itself.
Mm.
And I know it's nothing wrong with being an artist at all, but the fact that you might not be so much as strong as a performer, and you're probably very strong with numbers, that you have a valuable part on a team. Like, I hate to say it, like a crew member of Beyonce's tour. Like, there's so many parts
Wait, the
to it.
ages?
And yeah, yeah, like it's so much publicists. Like it's
Yeah.
so many parts that make up what these artists do and how they're able to show up in the world. And so when the students, the youth, when they are exposed to that level of career exploration, I think it's valuable, right? And
Yeah.
I also think it's very important that um students just think outside the box. Youth think outside the box
Yes.
about how music feels to them, how music appeals to them. And so just putting on a song in the kids' headphones, or saying you can regulate your emotions, this let this calm you down. That's very surface level, right? But then when you put music on the student, and then you put maybe like a keyboard in front of them and give them the opportunity to recreate it, now you give them something to take their mind off of what's bothering them, and now you're giving them something that's excite them. Because let's be clear, our kids don't have that much access to instruments like they should. Our black and
Right.
brown kids don't have that much access to the arts like we would like for them to have. So when you put a
Right.
keyboard in front of them, or when you get them the opportunity to play drums, or you show them something new that they can do with an instrument, or give them the opportunity to perform their feelings, put into words how you feel right now. You let them rap, you let them freestyle. All of this, like, it's so limitless to how music is incorporated into counseling. And when I tell you, I'm a student of both, and so as much as I can retain and attain for myself is as much as I'm gonna give back to our kids, because our kids deserve that. And again, music is a tool. When used correctly, music is a tool. It's a learning tool. It's a mental health tool. It gives our kids this experience, just like live music and concerts feel to us. I hate we didn't get to the outside concerts, but just like an outside concert experience feels to me, just any type of music experience probably feel good to a kid who doesn't get to explore live music like that. Probably gotta wait till they're an adult to be able to go to concerts and be able to experience those things. So I would just have to say, like, um, when it comes down to social emotional learning and bringing that music and live music aspect to students, to you, I feel like it's a gift. It's a gift.
Mm.
It's hard for it to be anything negative, because used professionally, it just has so many benefits. I've seen students' behavior turn around. I've seen students' grades go up because they want to perform. Like I said, we have an amazing music teacher at the school that I work with, and we have incredibly talented kids. And you know what? Some kids don't even know how gifted and talented they are because they never get the opportunity. And so, myself as a counselor, knowing what I know about the opportunity of being able to showcase talent and giftedness, it's like I'm gonna give you the opportunity because you might be tapping on that desk in that classroom because you probably a drummer. You
Mhm.
probably humming to get past the teacher yelling at you, or you probably hum to yourself to get through that test because you probably a singer, you probably a producer, you probably a composer. And when we start looking at our kids and their gifts and what they're doing as a gift, as opposed to oh they smart mouthing me or oh they disrupting my class. When you look at it from a different lens, it's like, are they really, or are they showing you that they got something special about them?
That's
So
right.
that's the keys that I'm gonna drop right there. And I would say anybody, this is my last little bit because I know we pressed for time, we kind of went over, but I'm gonna say
Continue.
anybody that's working with students, kids, youth, even if you're a parent working with your own kids, if you feel like I tried everything, I don't know what else to do. Try connecting with that kid over some hip hop beats, over some lo-fi beats, over something that you already know that kid is familiar with. Try to connect with them on that level. Hey, hey, I want you to put how you feel in words in a rhyme. I want you to
Mhm.
put how you feel in a poem. Give those kids an opportunity to build a relationship with you through this music. Because one thing about it, we might not like what our youth do. We might not like everything they do and how our kids act and all of these different things they got going on. We might not like all of that. But when kids have a relationship with you and you're able to build that relationship with them through music, they feel comfortable talking to you. And then once they talk to you about what's going on, then that's when you can help them find a solution. Period. Then that kid's gonna see you as somebody special, somebody that I trust. And also when you get a chance, I want you to watch the Astroworld documentary because Travis Scott talked about how his school counselor at his high school, I want to say it was Elkins, the school counselor at his school, showed him just how successful he can be. And he still prays her to this day. That's why I need for all adults working with kids, build that relationship, use music to do it. It's so many other ways to do it, but if you can use music, the arts, hip hop, use it to your advantage, use it to their advantage, and show them just how great they can be in any aspect of life. It does not have to be an artist, it can be in any aspect of life. Be the best that you can be. And watch how those youth, they honor and respect your practice because you used it to their advantage and use it to help them do well in whatever it is that they need to do to be successful in this world. So that's it. That's all I have. Well, it's not all I have. I can go on for days and days and days, but
Well,
uh,
I have a
those
lead
are
up question. There is an additional question that I have to ask. Like, I have to, I want to honor your time, but I still have to ask this question after you've given us those gems. When we think about using hip hop music for the students, how can we use hip hop music to talk to our colleagues, to other teachers, to the adults that work with children? If they don't understand, if they're trying to go to a Beyonce concert, for example, and they're not trying to do all of that, and not understanding how important it is to get into that experience, or even for any concert for that matter, or they are kind of shirking themselves, like, not even investing in those selves, what can you say to the adults on how music can help them help themselves and in turn help the youth? I want you to talk directly to your colleagues and to the faculty now, whether they're the teachers, whether it's the principal, even the superintendent, like speaking to them on how they can better themselves, because we can always grow. We can always use, especially hip hop, is most especially, right? That's the focal point of this platform. But the use of hip hop and the use of music, how can that help educators, administrators, and leaders to help themselves be able to help others?
Um, that's a tough question, but I will say the same way we, as educators, we plan for lessons. Myself as a counselor, I plan before I see students for any therapy sessions. The same way we plan, we have to do a little bit of research. I feel like you have to invest that time to know what's relevant in the culture of hip hop at the time. And I know it's easy for teachers, especially teachers who are doing education or teachers who are working in the space where it might not be as they might not have as much freedom and autonomy to do teaching the way they want to do it. I would say it's easy to say, I'm not gonna find out what the kids are doing. I'm not gonna find out what hip hop song is trending. I'm not gonna get on TikTok and go to this concert and do that. But if you really want to deepen your connection with students, and this I'm talking to people who want to have relationships with their kids on a professional aspect of what can I do to connect with my kids? This is who I'm talking to. I can't make anybody do anything, and I can't suggest something and they say, I'm not even gonna try. But for my people who wanna try, it's the same way you plan for your lessons, the same way you plan for therapy. It's research. What are the kids into right now? What's trending? Okay. And then now, how can you incorporate this in the topics that you are passionate about? Okay. When I think about hip hop, I think a lot about ELA, and I think about how sometimes administrators, and not to talk down to administrators, but sometimes there can be a bit of a disconnect from being an administrator and being in the classroom. But I would also say to them as well, find out what's relevant right now. And the reason why I brought up ELA is because hip hop is poetry, it's an artistic movement, it's cultural, it's something that you can actually deepen the understanding of content, because it's something that a lot of times the kids are already familiar with. And so I would
Yeah.
say, um, because hip hop encourages creativity and collaboration, use some of those aspects in professional development. I know for me as a counselor, when I talk to teachers in the very beginning of the school year, I'm always going to model how music can be used to connect with the students. Because teachers always say, well, I don't know how to foster a relationship. I don't know what to do when it comes to misbehaviors in my classroom, or I don't know what to do when a kid doesn't understand something. And I always say, and again, this takes a tad bit of sacrifice. Find out what's relevant and find out how you can spend time with that student. So I always would mention, okay, have lunch with your kids. Have lunch with your kids. Listen to something that they like and give them an opportunity to spin what they like and make it relevant to what you are trying to fix, or whatever solution you're trying to fix in your classroom. And so it take a little bit of again, it take a little bit of sacrifice. It take a little bit of creativity, but it's doable. And for administrators, I work very closely with administrators. Basically, am one at this point. And I always say, if you want the kids to perform the way you want them to perform, if you want kids to behave with the way you want them to behave, reward those kids with a party. You know what's heavily played at those parties? Hip hop music. And let me tell you, we've seen at the school that I work at, we've seen an incredible amount of growth because students look forward to the rewards. And I'm not saying dangle a reward in their face, throw some hip hop in there and let it happen. That's not what I'm saying. This takes careful planning. But you have to mobilize the marketing around your school have all the teachers on board and excited. Oh, we getting ready to have a huge dance for all of the kids who grew on map, who grew on star, who grew on this test or that test, or who's growing in their everyday academics. And you
Mm-hmm.
get the kids excited and you put the I want to say you put the excitement, you put the and I'm gonna get to one more other thing too. You put the excitement in there, you put the dressing up in there. Take what Beyonce do at those concerts and put it in your school. Get those kids excited. We dressing up. We dressing up like the 90s. We're gonna have a 90s hip hop party for everybody that show growth. Those kids don't want to miss that. They don't want to miss it. And so hip hop in the workplace shows that we value diverse forms of intelligence and cultural expression. And then it just disrupts the idea that professional environments have to be so rigid. It doesn't
Yeah.
have to. It brings a richness. It brings a richness to the kids. And I hope I don't sound like I'm rambling, but the dressing up, this is allowing the kids to be a part of the experience. Hey
That's
kids,
right.
on Friday such and such, we're gonna dress up for the 90s. We have our party. And I guarantee you, if you do it right, if you do that party to
Yeah.
fidelity, those kids are not gonna want to miss the next one. And I have a lot of examples, but that's just a couple of them. But teachers, professionals, sit down and eat with those kids. Sit down and listen to the music with those kids. Give those kids an opportunity to connect with you through the music. And when I say I've seen a significant change in behavior, in grades, in scores. I have to watch all of these things very closely because not only am I a counselor, but I'm a school compliance officer basically. I look at data,
Mm-hmm.
I look uh at at attendance, I look at data, attendance, grades, all of these different pieces that make up the whole student. And I'm thinking to myself, all right, what can I do to bring this school alive? What can I do to bring these teachers and these administrators on board to make this exciting? So
Right.
the main thing will be teachers, counselors, administrators, you got to sacrifice and plan and look at what's relevant and see how effective will this be for the students, for my school, for my community. Because you can make the difference if you want to make it, but if without the sacrifice, without the time spent, without the planning, without just kind of putting all of the working parts together and saying this is what's gonna work for our situation we got going on, you're not gonna get the results that you want to get. So,
That's right.
especially, and I'm talking to my school leaders right here, you got to get out of that uppity attitude. If you're working in the inner city school, Title One schools like that, you got to connect with those students on a level that they understand and that they know that you're a real person. And you know what's gonna let them know that? How much of them lyrics to that song you know? They know a lot about you based on the music that you listen to. So I hope that answered the question because that question was tough, but it
And I mean, it's a tough situation as an educator and as a counselor, especially, the climate of instruction that is needed for the for this 21st century of learning, and using the music. I've seen educators who may have a more rural background, they use it in how they dress. They may have box braids, or they may put on the Air Force Ones, or they may wear the T-shirt, or they may, sacrifice plus investing and taking the time is no different than a scientist having to travel to a rainforest to have to look through and find, different substances and biomes. And, you have to get out of that box and get out of the textbook and actually have an adventure of what you're teaching and why you're teaching, to share, to be able to share with others. And you know, whether you are literacy, whether you are STEM, whether you are, you know, an enrichment instructor, and even as an administrator, you know, it is so important to have your identity. But when you are working with people, when you are working especially with young people, and then children are not children their whole lives, these are children that become adults, you know, you have to be able to honor the experience of being an educator and teaching others by being an explorer yourself. And I think that's what hip hop does, is that it can take you out of your own element. It can take you, especially, you know, for myself, I can say, we're growing up in on the Gulf Coast, but knowing West Coast rappers, knowing East Coast songs, and you know how they dress, and then learning about worldwide type of artists, you know, it makes it very much a multifaceted experience when we approach hip hop. And then that helps to tailor my instruction so that I can reach students, you know, and meet them where they are to bring them where I am. You know, I don't want to ever be, and you said it so well, Jasmine, is for me to be on this pedestal and I'm, you know, unapproachable. But I want to bring you up to there, but we are here together and having this experience together. So it's not so much of um, a disciplinary thing where you can't open up to just make certain, okay, you have to stay on this line, you have to be so rigid, it has to be only one thing or nothing at all, but being open to the possibility that you can learn something new too. You know, I do that with my college students, is that, you know, I learn these different languages. If I'm learning Vietnamese, if I'm learning Arabic, when I'm learning Italian, when I'm learning these things, I put myself in a vulnerable situation for them to help correct me, for them to see that I see them as they are. And that's because of my, you know, love and nucleus being in hip hop, you know, growing that from very, very young age, but being able to see other people as they are and make that connection. And that's what artists do, like Beyonce, who can go anywhere around the world, even learn. I know in that, I think that Dubai concert, when she did that thing, she was on that pedestal, and it was in the Arabic type of the chords, you know, that's not her staying in one lane. That's her venturing out to say that I see everyone where they are and I can incorporate it in my identity and in my experience. So being an educator is kind of like, you know, being a Beyonce. You know, you want for, you know, you to be open and your students to be open. We're not saying that you got to sing. We're not saying that you got to come up with the Gucci and all that other different outfits, which would be cool. You know, I love to see the different outfits that teachers wear when they do go to see students and everything. But I think that there is a nod to making that connection, like you said, Jasmine, of utilizing those experiences that you've had and have not had, and taking that time, taking that 30 minutes to an hour out to really look through TikTok, to look through YouTube, to ask other people, you know, how can I, you know, learn more. It's just like if you know, if we grew up in a Title I area and then now you're in a rural community, and the expectation, oh, okay, they like country music, well then it's time for me to put some country music on and learn
Right.
about the roots of this so that you can make that connection. So it's about making an impact, not by the check. Imagine having a limitless budget like artists like Beyonce, or having a specified budget, but still making something so relevant that it does make that all the difference in the world. I really truly believe, you know, like when going back to when you said that your first introduction to hip hop was the song California Love with Tupac, Dr. Dre, and everybody. And the way that they invested in the video, this was from Mad Max. It was a movie with Mel Gibson and Tina Turner, and they derived that video for that song California Love from that movie from the 80s. They didn't have to do that, but they wanted to give that experience to the audience to make that love so much driven into the audience. And it's all about the audience understanding what you're saying. It's not about just sharing out information, but making certain that the audience can make it their own. And I really appreciate you packing that in such a specific way that my audience on this platform, I absolutely feel will benefit from these tools because like I know you've seen and other administrators have seen, the data is lacking. Students aren't making the mark, or teachers are getting burnt out, and it's not just because of policy, it's not just because of external factors, but there are tangible, real ways that change can be made, and it could just as easily be by making that experience of going to a concert and seeing how that is put on, but also not just with the money aspect, because teachers, we don't make any money, but what we do know is that how the audience takes in and appreciates and the wants to learn more, hear more. That's where the rubber meets the road. That's where the change in education must come, because you're not, people like you, Jasmine, to have that duality role. And really, you have more than that. You wear many hats, where you have the educational piece where you're teaching, but you also have the charge to counsel and to make certain that they have the emotional intelligence to be able to walk into a classroom and learn despite those external factors. But the adults also could benefit from that emotional intelligence to think, well, if the students like Tyler the Creator, if I hear them saying that, or if I ask them, what they're listening to, or if I research that he is a trending topic, maybe it would benefit me to even be vulnerable enough and ask the students, like, hey, tell me more about this, and connecting it to the lesson. For example, like you said with ELA, we think about a thesis statement, and you need them to write a thesis. You need them to write a reflection of some sort. Instead of getting rudimentary type of topics, have them to write about their favorite artist. Grab a lyric from Tyler the Creator's Sticky song and ask them, why does this, why do you like this lyric? And have them to write about that. And even with the cadence and the rhythms, and bringing in that math and that multiplication, the multiplicity of how those beats and the way that he has everything arranged there. And there's so many different things, right? If people would just do like you say and open their minds up to looking at how many different prisms hip hop brings that can actually make that impact, education would be absolutely transformed. It absolutely would, which is why we would have to, we would definitely need to. And I'm having an idea of how we can maybe even put on a webinar of some sort and answer the questions, because there are a lot of questions on the how to do it. There's a why. We can answer that all day on why you should do it. But then you also have the teachers, especially some new teachers, even the seasoned teachers, on the how. And I want to open that up to you and for the Hip Hop Scholar podcast, where we want to answer those how questions. And then on a future date, we can talk about and answer those questions to an audience maybe in the future. How does that sound, Jasmine Bocard?
Good to me. Sounds good to me. Because at the end of the day, we are all our kids have right now. And if we don't know how to connect with them through music, and we don't know how to give our kids an experience in learning and social emotional learning, if we're not trying to essentially turn our kids into us because they're getting ready to take over these parts of society, if we
That's
don't
right.
if we the only ones that know, and other people are wanting to know, and they feel like they want to use these tools, why not give it to them? I am totally down for that. um I feel like our kids deserve this. One thing I will tell you, Melanie, I do
Mm-hmm.
I'm so serious when it comes to uh how adults show up for our kids, because when you're in the place of educating and you're in the place of being a counselor, you're in a serious spot. You're in a
Right.
very serious spot, and we have to take serious the role that we have, um of and even if we don't feel like it, we're role models. And so we have to dress this part, look this part, have all of these uh solutions on hand. And if, like I said, if it's only a limited number of us that can do this, and we got people that's willing and able to step up and say, I want to be able to incorporate hip hop this way, or I want to be able to connect with my kids this way as a teacher, or even if they just want the tools to know what it takes to be a counselor, so they can be able to have to be able to put music therapy into practice or in place, whatever the case may be. Let's give it to them. Let's do it. We're not here. This is not about. We're not here to compete. We're not here for fun. We're here to collaborate to ensure that our kids are coming up on the best quality everything, best quality education, best quality experiences. And the only way we can do that is if we in a collaborative. I'm sorry. The only way we can do that is if we're in collaborative spaces like the one that you're talking about right now, and I am 100% down for that. Absolutely.
That's awesome. I really appreciate that. And I wrote it down on the how of incorporating hip hop into curriculum, what pre-K through 12 and higher education. I think that that would just be another tool that an educator could absolutely use, because we all can and could use additional help. And like you say, it's not about the money. You know, we have a limitless budget like Beyonce, and we are here to make the difference and to see the audience enjoy what we bring as well,
That's
right?
right.
So
That's right.
I appreciate the time that you've given today, Jasmine. And as we close out this platform today, we will be joining back with Jasmine Bocard again, not just on the podcast, but we will be putting on a webinar. We'll talk about the specifics on the webinar. But again, thank you again for your time today, Jasmine. To the Hip Hop Scholar Podcast family, take care of each other, take care of yourselves, and we see you on the next installment. Take care.